Hello, it's Tom Llewellyn, and performance versus politics. Sounds like we shouldn't have to trade one for the other, but we routinely do. And performance is, we all live in a world of performance. Whether it's a big business, a small business, a nonprofit, a church, our families, individuals. We all get up in the morning, we know we've got so much money in the pocket or the checking book, and we know if we spend it, we've got to spend it well. It's just fundamental. How many, and there's plenty of people that can go out and conspicuously consume, right? They can buy their Maseratis, they can buy their big homes or whatever that they probably really don't have a use for, but it looks great. There's nothing wrong with that. You got the money. Now, half of us live paycheck to paycheck, so we don't. And even the rich people, I got to tell you, there are not many people that are rich that aren't looking at the money they have and saying, well, I live in a nice house, but I have all this other money, and I have to make sure it performs. There has to be a payback. It has to be productive use of funds or resources. Might be resources, it might be tools, it might be plant, it might be equipment, it might be people. But we all live by performance. And what we have today is politics before performance. Politicians tell us, well, my performance is based on how much I spend. So if I spend a lot, I must be great. Except that's not true, and I think we all know that's true. And we know it just by the people around us. The guy's out driving a $200,000 Maserati versus, the guy that has a Toyota Corolla or something. They both get him to work, right? Who's the smart one? Well, the guy paying a couple $100 for his Toyota or bought it for a couple thousand in cash, it has no expense. He's smart because it gets him from point A to B just like the Maserati. And that's what we all have to think. It's like, I don't mind if you consume well as a private person, but I do mind if you're the government and you consume money irreverently, right? So what does it really look like? How do you get to performance? Well, we do it easily. We know if there's $0 in the checking account, we've got a problem if we have to buy something. Get it. We also go out every day. How many people go out and, shop for a shirt or get a can of corn at the grocery store or whatever, and you're saying, well, this for that, I've only got so much budget, and so what's my preference here, to get this or this? Which one is going to do the best job for me? We do it all the time. It's an economic decision. We live by them, except government. So our math we do in our head. It's not very hard. When you get to the business level, or even the scientific level, you have to be more scientific, or you have to be more sophisticated. It's like, I have this much, I have this objective or theory as a scientist, or I have this objective or theory about how I'm going to invest in my business. As a businessman, the ideas are exactly the same. They have an objective they're trying to meet. They have strategies they're going to get to it. Once they do it, they collect data like crazy to make sure that that measurable objective, I'm going to increase business 5% this year by X, Y, and Z. And they measure it. They measure it daily. Absolutely. If you go into the CFO's office, Fortune 500, he or his assistant has a screen that's nice and graphic and tells them all their key process indicators. It's like, is my cash to order good? Is the inventory rolling as much as it should? Am I late on XYZ shipments? Whatever it is. Are my customers satisfied? Big one, right? But they monitor it religiously. Now, in the government, the data's, it's dark, it's hidden somewhere. You got to get some guy in the basement of the White House or Congress to go out and find information. If they don't like it, they don't use it. If it doesn't meet their objectives, not our objectives, not the objectives of America, they toss it away. I had a guy that worked for one of the governors, no names here, of Colorado. And he said, yeah, I produce reports regularly, nice, beautiful graphics. And if it didn't like it, didn't meet what he was trying to do, his narrative, they just round filed it. It's like, that's crazy. We need to see those things. We need to understand that if you spend 20 to 40 trillion dollars on anti-poverty programs over 60 years and poverty doesn't really go down, we might be doing it wrong, right? We need to understand that if you increase per capita spending per student, real dollars, that is, you move $1961 and change them into 2019 dollars, and then you look at 2020, which were the last figures, and it goes up 354%, and proficiency in students doesn't move at all, we're probably doing something wrong. You know, if Social Security, Medicare underfunded $100 trillion, you're doing something wrong. But we can't see it in a nice visual way. When Congress passes law, there's no objectives in it. There's no strategy beyond the political strategy. There's nothing that says, if this doesn't work, we should try something else. There's no nice website that tracks what's going on so you and I can say, that's not good. There's no grade card. There's no grade card that says, if there were an objective, let's say that you're going to reduce emissions by 2050 by 40%, you would show how that's actually going to be done with respect to the bill. You would have a nice, beautiful graph yearly showing what is happening, and you'd have a grade card. If you're tracking along where you're going, you get an A or a B. If you're not, you get a C, D, or an F. You need to rethink things. We just don't do that. We need to think like a scientist. We need to think like a businessman. And we need to do that, and you need to ask, right? So who's in control here? Well, you'd think the people with big money, right? And they are, in a sense, today, and we need to kind of figure out a way around that. There's a book called The Political Industry, and it basically says there's two ways to vote. One, you go to the polls and you vote. And the other one is you write a check. And he goes, guess what? The people writing the check are winning because the people, we're doing nothing for the people, and we're making trillionaires out of tech giants and God knows who else with no input from us. So we need to start asking the questions. We need to, whether it's you're online, you're typing something in, you're in front of your congressman at a meeting, or whatever it is. But ask the question, how are we tracking our success? What is our strategy? Are we trying to beat China? And how do we do this? Do we need to grow at 4.5% instead of 2 or 3? Well, the answer is yes. What are those things we need to be doing? And show me. I can't see what you're doing. There's no beautiful graphic to show me that we're winning or losing, that you're meeting your objectives and mine. But we have to start asking the right questions. It's not, are you for or against something? It's like, how are you going to fix this mess? And how are you going to show me that you have? Because right now, we're just wandering back and forth between a kind of a socialist approach and a capitalist approach, between what Jefferson called the monocrats on the left and the Democratic Republicans on the conservative side. Neither party is pure, but their approaches are generalized in those areas. So that's the deal. If you want performance for the dollars that come out of your pocket, and I estimate, last year, and I'm retired, I still paid about $10,000 in taxes. It's kind of like, can you show me that you got $10,000 worth of value? And just so you know, I remember sitting and at the time, don't belong to a party anymore. I finally gave up. I'm actually trying to start a new party. We'll see where that goes. But at the end of the day, 15 years ago, I'm sitting in a precinct committee meeting thinking about giving a speech to try to, do I want to run for office or not, and how would this sound? And I'd just written a book called It's a Spending Stupid. And while I'm sitting there, I had a slight epiphany. And it comes to this. Spending is an issue. That's a gigantic issue today. But the nut of it is, it doesn't matter how much you spend. If you spend it productively, if you move the needle up instead of down. We make a lot of investments where the needle goes down. There's been estimates that anywhere from a third to 75% of our budget is not spent well. It's costing me, let's say, $5 of that $10,000. Would I like that $5,000 back? I would love it back. But we have to do government differently. Performance before politics. If you're typing in something somewhere, # performance before politics. Hey, good luck out there.